Okay, so moving next to the Arts Centre of Christchurch. Philip Aldridge and Felicity, good to see you here as well.
Morning.
Good morning.
Mr Chairman, Andrew, councillors. Thank you so much for asking us along. We're really chuffed to be here. We know the City Council's had a tough job to pare back its spending in this annual plan, and we can see you've given it a lot of thought with some good reductions. We've been doing our own pruning of costs at the Arts Centre, working our way through making a number of major cuts to our operations so we can save some money too. But even with these occurring, we simply cannot break even. Rental from the 2/3 open site, which it is now, at 85% tenancy, is not enough to cover even the reduced costs that we're looking at. And it wasn't enough to cover costs before the earthquakes either. However, this may surprise you, we're not here to ask you for money in the 2021 annual plan. We know you can't afford it this year, and with the major cuts we're proposing in careful management, we think we can last another year, maybe 18 months. But unless we have some indication from you that you'll be able to set aside some long-term funding in the long-term plan for us from 2022 onwards, we will have to close. You'll be aware that currently the Arts Centre receives no ongoing capital funding or operational funding from the City Council or central government, instead relying on individual donors, trusts and foundations. We think we've done pretty well up till now. I know a lot of people see us as having got on with it and done a fantastic job compared to some other heritage sites in town, but we're going to have to stop it soon if we can't get some help. The Arts Centre is recognised by the City Council and the Christchurch District Plan as being a place of high heritage significance, high cultural significance, high architectural and aesthetic significance, and high technological and craftsmanship significance. But unless the City Council can back up these admirable thoughts by reintroducing the subsidy we used to get that was removed from us in 2018, the Arts Centre, which is, you will recall, a whole city block of heritage buildings, will have to close. That means the current trust and trust board will be disestablished and the site will have to be handed over to another body to manage. Extensive inquiries have indicated that body is most likely to be you, the City Council, and it will cost a lot more for you to reopen the site if it's closed. We have enough insurance payout left to restore and reopen 2 more buildings, including the Observatory Tower, which will be open to schools and the public, but the rest, along with the Ralston Avenue frontage, will have to be mothballed. However, it's important to draw a distinction between the insurance money, which is being used to restore the earthquake-damaged buildings, and our operational costs. It's our operational funding that's going to run out in a year or so, and that's where we need your help. Philip.
Thank you. Yeah, well, we're very grateful for this opportunity and to be able to speak to you all, because we have been engaging with council staff. And we've had the opportunity to talk to Leanne, and for that we're very grateful, but we haven't been able to speak to you all. So we're not quite sure how much you're aware of this situation, and actually that this is now last chance saloon. The COVID crisis has exacerbated our problems, but the underlying issues remain the same. That site has never managed to pay its way. The business case just doesn't work. It's the largest collection of heritage buildings in the country. It actually represents half of the entire portfolio of Heritage New Zealand. But it's run without a single cent of subsidy from anybody, from council or government. I've been in the role for 2 years. I've been padding up and down Lambton Quay. We've regularly been told, go back to Christchurch, it's a local issue. We're getting no help at all from government. And to reiterate Felicity's point, I think it's important to make a distinction between the business and the 2 bits of the business. There is the restoration, the capital works, the huge success that we've seen there, and in leading the restoration of this city in some ways, and beautiful craftsmanship. But there is the other part of the business that is the operations, the arts centre, the community centre. What those buildings are there for under an Act of Parliament, but an Act of Parliament that never gave us any money. So we're in a really difficult situation. We've got 3 major artistic institutions on your doorstep here. We've got an art gallery, which is funded by the council, and $26 per head per visitor. We've got a magnificent museum, which is funded through legislation and forcing the council to fund it. And we've got the Arts Centre, an entire city block, as Felicity says, that receives nothing. And so we are going to have to close. And it will be more expensive to reopen it under another entity. And as Felicity says, that's probably you. The other thing that might happen, and I'll stop quite soon because I think you probably have lots of questions. The other thing is that we're still in with a chance of getting some money from the Shovel Ready Fund, and thank you for your support in that. And so there may be some tremendous news around the corner. We don't know yet. They haven't said no to us. So we're still in with a chance. But even if we get that, it does not address the issues we're talking about, which are operational. And it'll be tragic to see it closed. We support everything you're talking about in the plan, the intangible heritage. We're doing a lot of that ourselves, the Matariki Festival, the weaving, Oranga. This is becoming increasingly important to us. We are a centre of the community. But we need your help. And what we need is an indication that you are going to be able to help us, because we are already beginning the wind down of the organisation. There's a major restructure going on right now. We're disassembling everything that we have achieved over the last few years. I'll stop and let you ask us questions.
Thank you. So I've got Sam, Leanne, and then Jake if we've got time.
Yeah, thank you. Mine was largely answered in terms of the shovel ready. But could you just perhaps explain to me how crucial getting that over the line would be to the future of it? So completely get the distinction between the CapEx, the OpEx, and the operational costs, but how crucial that approval of that shovel ready project would be for the city?
It would allow us to complete the main frontage on Worcester Boulevard. So the engineering blocks where the old Court Theatre was, those will, we don't have enough money to do that. So the insurance money runs out in about 2 years. It'll allow us to complete the observatory and open that to the public, and a small boutique around it, which will give us a good secure income. But the main frontage and on the centre of the site will remain mothballed.
Thank you. Leanne.
Thank you, and thank you for taking the opportunity to come and brief councillors. I think this is actually the appropriate way to do it, because this is an LTP issue, but what we're hearing from you is the importance of the signal that we send and how we are going to engage on that. This is another one of those buildings which was a heritage group of buildings in this case that was saved from the wrecking ball by worthy citizens who stood up and said no. And in this case, a legislative framework put around a governance structure, but as you say, no funding stream, as was the case with the Canterbury Museum, which has been opted out of by different districts over time. So actually there's only 4 of us left in that funding pot. And I think it is time for us to think of regional facilities. This was Canterbury University. It wasn't Christchurch University. It was Christchurch Boys High School in part. But there is a bigger story to tell from a regional perspective. And I think the regional facilities component of it needs to be structured in a way that takes into account what are truly regional facilities that happen to be located in the city of Christchurch. So, so thank you for coming and raising everyone's awareness of it. And you'll notice that I just use this as an opportunity to make a speech instead of asking you a question.
So we'll move very quickly, Jake, to a quick question from you.
Yep, an actual question. Hey, what is the size of your shortfall, operational shortfall?
$1.5 million a year. So we've been paying for that from the interest from the capital that we received from the insurance payout.
Cool.
So that now diminishes. Interest rates have fallen and we're reaching the end of it.
And a big chunk of that is insurance.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
I've got Yanni first, so there probably won't be time, Pauline, unfortunately, but Yanni, we'll take yours really quickly.
Just really quickly, you've mentioned a number of other organisations and facilities. Do you think there's a need to think about the number of facilities we have in the city and our capacity to sustain that across the arts and cultural sector?
There may be. That's a question for you rather than us.
All right, thank you. Pauline, yeah, really quickly, though. Really quickly.
How much did we fund?
800,000 a year.
And then didn't we reduce it
Yes, it went down to 350.
to, sorry, to
350
to
at the
800?
end. Sorry.
Oh, it went up.
Thank you. Thanks,
All right,
Andrew.
thank you very much. Look, thanks very much indeed for coming and presenting to us, and as Leanne has said, in this particular forum as well. Good to see you, good to hear from you. Thank you very much indeed for the submission.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
do appreciate it. Thank you.